The Galactic Council had been clear, crystal clear as humans like to say. Ambassador Velthar of the Kron Collective stood before the human delegation in the grand chamber of the council station, his 6 eyes narrowing with barely concealed contempt. "The treaty is non-negotiable," he declared, his translator rendering his clicks and whistles into cold mechanical English. "Humanity will construct civilian vessels only. No military spacecraft, no weapons platforms, no warships of any kind." Dr. Sarah Chen, Earth's chief diplomat, kept her expression neutral. Around the circular chamber, representatives from 43 alien species watched with varying degrees of interest. Most seemed bored. This was, after all, standard procedure for newly admitted species. "And if we refuse?" Sarah asked quietly. The chamber fell silent. Velthar's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. "Then humanity remains quarantined to your single star system, forever. The Council has existed for 12,000 years. We have protocols for species like yours, young, aggressive, dangerous. You will accept our protection, or you will accept isolation." Sarah looked at her fellow delegates. Admiral Marcus Webb's jaw was tight, his weathered hands gripping the armrests of his chair. Dr. Yuki Tanaka stared at her datapad, her mind undoubtedly running calculations. Minister Okonkwo's dark eyes smoldered with quiet fury. "We accept," Sarah said. The chamber exhaled. Business as usual. That had been 5 years ago. Commander Jameson Joe reviewed the schematics one more time, a smile playing at the corners of his mouth. The Prometheus hung in Earth's orbit, gleaming in the sunlight, all 3 kilometers of her. Officially, she was a deep space mining and resource extraction vessel. The Council had approved the design themselves. "She's beautiful," Admiral Webb said, floating beside him in the observation deck of the orbital construction facility. "That she is," Joe agreed. 72 mining lasers, each capable of cutting through asteroids up to 5 kilometers in diameter. 48 debris deflection systems for protecting against micrometeorites, and enough cargo capacity to transport 500,000 tons of refined materials. Webb chuckled. The Council inspectors were very thorough. They were. Checked every system twice, all civilian-grade equipment, just as the treaty specifies. Joe pulled up another schematic. Of course, they didn't ask about the power output. A civilian mining laser operating at full capacity generates roughly the same energy signature as a military-grade particle beam, and debris deflection systems use the exact same targeting algorithms as point defense batteries. Curious oversight on their part. "Very curious, sir." The Prometheus was just the beginning. In dry docks across the solar system, 24 more mining vessels were under construction. The Hercules, the Athena, the Odysseus, each one a marvel of human engineering, each one technically compliant with every letter of the Council's treaty. Each one a warship in everything but name. The Vrask incursion came without warning. They hit the Tyrellian colony worlds first, 3 garden planets on the edge of Council space, home to billions. The Tyrellians were a peaceful species, poets and philosophers with defensive fleets that existed more for show than function. The Vrask tore through them in days. The Council convened an emergency session. Velthar stood at the podium, his usual arrogance replaced by barely controlled panic. "The Vrask have broken the Treaty of Galmor. We are assembling a coalition fleet, but it will take weeks to mobilize." "We can be there in 4 days," Sarah Chen interrupted. Every eye in the chamber turned to the human delegation. Velthar's translator emitted a sound somewhere between a laugh and a screech. "Humanity has no military fleet. You signed the treaty. You have no warships," Sarah smiled. It was not a kind smile. "We don't have warships, Ambassador. We have mining vessels. Very sophisticated mining vessels. And they're already en route." The tactical display showed 12 human ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Tyrellian system. The Vrask Armada, 68 warships of various classes, moved to intercept, confident in their numerical superiority. The Prometheus fired first, what the Council had certified as a mining laser, carved through the lead Vrask destroyer like a blade through silk. 47 more beams lanced out from the human fleet, each one finding its mark with devastating precision. The Vrask formation dissolved into chaos. Debris deflection systems spat out thousands of rounds per minute, creating an impenetrable screen of fire. Vrask missiles, torpedoes, and fighters vanished in storms of tungsten and depleted uranium. The cargo bays opened and wings of human combat drones screamed into the void, officially listed as automated mining equipment. The battle lasted 17 minutes. When it was over, the Vrask Armada was scrap metal and the human fleet hadn't lost a single vessel. Commander Joe opened a channel to the surviving Tyrellian defense stations. "This is the Earth Mining Consortium fleet. Your space is clear. We'll maintain position until Council reinforcements arrive." Back in the Council chamber, the chamber erupted in chaos. Belthar turned to Sarah, his translator struggling to keep up with his rapid-fire speech. "You violated the treaty. You built warships. We built mining vessels," Sarah said calmly. "Every ship in our fleet was inspected and approved by Council authorities. Every system is civilian-grade, exactly as specified in the treaty. If those vessels happen to be effective in combat situations, well," she shrugged, "that's just good engineering." The Council leadership huddled in frantic consultation. They couldn't punish humanity for following the letter of the treaty, even if the spirit had been thoroughly trampled. And now, with the Vrask threat neutralized in minutes where Council fleets would have taken weeks, the other species were looking at humans with new eyes that held respect, and a little fear. Admiral Webb leaned over to Sarah. "Think they'll rewrite the treaty?" Sarah watched the Council scramble to maintain order. "Oh, definitely. But it'll take them months to agree on new language. And we're already designing the next generation of civilian vessels." "What are we calling them?" "Deep space construction platforms. With very large assembly tools and very robust safety systems," she smiled. "The Council did warn us not to build warships. They should have been more specific about what constituted a warship." In the end, the Council did rewrite the treaty. By then, humanity had 200 civilian vessels in operation, and every species in the galaxy knew the truth. Humans hadn't built warships. They'd built something better. They'd built hope with mining lasers attached.